Welcome to the Hero's Journey podcast. And today's guest is Sam Sexton, the former British and Commonwealth heavyweight champion. That's great to have you on, Sam. Thanks for really a lot of respect for you for coming on today and having a chat with me and finding time in your busy schedule to come and talk to me today. How are you today? All
Yeah,
right?
no, thanks, mate. It's good to be on. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you on, Sam. Obviously, we've known each other for a few years now, and you've got some stories to tell, and hopefully we'll be able to take some gold from some of your stories that you've had in your career over the years, and maybe some of the people listening to this can use some of the teaching, some of the wisdom to help them along their own hero's journey. So, for those that are not sure about what the hero's journey is, the hero's journey is based on Joseph Campbell's book, The Hero's Journey. And most hero films today, most movies are based on this archetype. So, we're going to have a little chat today and start from the very beginning. So, my first question, Sam, is how did you get into boxing? What was the story behind that?
Yeah. It's a pretty kind of standard story, really. I mean, the place where I lived, you grew up in quite a kind of a rough area, really. And it just consisted every day just getting into fights and stuff, in school and on the street and stuff. And I think it got to the point where it was getting quite out of hand. And even at a young age, my mum and dad said, we're going to have to do something about this. So they took me to the gym, and that's where I stayed.
So, it took you to the gym, and that's where you stayed. So, how old were you when that was going on?
I was 11 years old, nearly 12.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So
And to be fair, when I first got there, it was hard. It was Norwich Broadside to start with.
yeah.
It was in a cold church. It was absolutely freezing in there. I can remember walking in thinking it's colder inside than it is outside. And there was some good lads in there, and yeah, I cracked straight on with the training, and I wasn't fit. I was quite tubby, you know, and I can always remember my dad saying to one of the trainers there straight away. He just said, how long before Sam boxes? And he kind of looked at me as if to say, like, never. So then after that he doesn't know it, but to this day, I think I always kind of felt I had a point to prove.
You had a
And
point to
from, from,
prove.
and from that day forward, I was just there relentlessly,
Yeah,
proving it
yeah,
wrong. Yeah.
yeah. So it's a proving people wrong. So people say a lot of people say that boxing helps young people stay out of trouble, stay off the streets. Mike Tyson's a perfect example of that. So is that something that you'd agree with?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I think, a lot of my friends growing up on the estate where we were getting into trouble quite a lot. There's a lot of drinking drugs and stuff. And quite a few went down that route, and luckily I had the gym. So all I could think about was getting to the gym next time. I'd leave school. I never did well at school because I wasn't interested.
You
All I
weren't
wanted to do,
interested.
all I wanted to do was get to the gym. I'd go home, I'd get my bag, I'd be in the gym.
Mm, mm.
And especially when I was allowed to start training at the pro gym from the age of 13 years old, it was just like, to me, it was like, yeah, I want some of this. It was it. We had a proper community in the gym, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
and they were a lot older, and I respected them all. But I used to go in there that I thought I was a bit of a wide boy at my age, and some of the older pros just look at me and they'd laugh and stuff, and I was a bit cheeky. And I think they all kind of liked me, and I just stayed there. I stuck around. I was like part of the furniture.
Part of the furniture, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
So it sounded like you had a family, you had another family there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Anyone will tell you when you walk in the gym, you just, you meet people and they're friends for life.
no friends for life. So when you first went into the gym, was there any? Did you have any fear, any anxiety about going into the gym, or was it excitement?
I think, I think from an early age, I always had a kind of a doubt in my mind that I wasn't good enough. And I'd be laughed out of the gym and stuff. And that used to drive me probably more than anything. I
Used
used
to
to kind
drive
of,
you?
yeah, I kind of used to think, like, it was like, I always said later on, when it came to interviews and stuff, that despite whatever was happening at home, whatever was happening out on the street at home, whatever was happening at school, anywhere in my life, the gym was my church. When I walked in the gym, I closed the door, and for that 2, 3 hours, however long we were there for, it was just complete focus.
Complete focus. So
Yeah,
yeah, that was your gym. That was your church.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's good, man. So how did you? How many fights did you have as an amateur, and how did that plan out?
I think I had about. It wasn't a lot, because being a heavyweight in Norfolk was quite hard to get fights. But I think it was like in the early 30s, something like that.
Wow,
So it was quite hard to get fights. I mean, I went even when I went to the ABAs, I was a bye straight through to the final. I won the junior ABAs. Then I got scouted to box for England. Um,
wow.
and then from there, I went down to Crystal Palace in London.
Yeah,
Just done a squad weekend down there with the lads.
yeah.
And they liked me, and they kept me, and they threw me straight into a Four Nations tournament in Scotland,
Wow. How'd you
which
get on?
I got a gold medal. I fought the Irish lad in
Wow.
the semi final and the Scottish lad in the final. I got a gold medal. So then after that, they kind of kept me, and I only ever boxed for England after that.
Wow. So you mentioned before about having, I think you said it was something about not being good enough, like a little niggling thing about not being good enough. What did that gold medal do for your confidence
That
and your
gold medal to
belief?
me was like a world title. It really
Yeah.
was. I remember going back to my, going home, and there was people in my local pub threw me a little party and stuff, and I just I felt like a hero when I was in there,
Wow.
And then after that, it's just you kind of, it's like when you're in the ring, it's like fair excitement, adrenaline, all in one thing. It's like a drug like nothing else, and
That's how.
and people ask me if I miss it every day. Of course I do. It's
Yeah.
something I've been doing now for 29 years of my life.
29 years of your life. So
Yeah.
how old were you when you won that gold medal?
I would have been 17.
17. Wow. Yeah. So you're still really young when you won that gold medal, and that was a gold medal for England. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first England vest. Yeah.
Wow, wow. So was there any professional boxers that you could name now in the England team with you back then, or Irish or
Um,
Scottish team?
yeah, I mean, you had like when I was back then, you had like, I mean, Amir Khan was in England squad.
Yeah,
He was in the squad. You had people like Frankie Gavin.
yeah.
Um, who else did we have? Audley Harrison.
Woody Harrison.
Um, he was kind of like the big wig at the time when I first got there. Um, yeah, there's probably too many to even be able to mention, to be honest with you,
Yeah, yeah,
off the top of my head. Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, when you went pro, so how old were you when you decided to turn pro?
I was 21, and I hadn't planned to turn pro yet,
Okay.
because I was maybe in the running for the Beijing Olympics.
Oh,
Well, I was kind of, we had to prove ourselves to get there, But
mhm.
I remember I boxed in it was like European Championships in Spain, in
Spain.
Madrid. We'd
Nice.
just been to Cyprus for 2 weeks training. I've done a lot of hard training. We flew straight from Cyprus to Madrid,
Yeah,
and I got the Spanish guy in the final.
yeah,
And I remember, like, knew I was going to have to beat him well to win because he's the Spanish lad, and it was a bit biased sometimes.
yeah,
So I remember, in, in my opinion, I was kicking his ass. Like it was an easy fight for me.
yeah,
And I remember I had a nosebleed, but it was just a little nosebleed. It was nothing major at all.
yeah.
Um, and the referee stopped the fight because they knew
What?
he was losing. And after
Yeah.
that, I was so gutted, because I just thought this was my gold medal.
Yeah,
That would have been my gold medal. And then after that, I just realised. I mean, it happened quite a few times. I've seen in it, in the England squads and stuff where we go away, and other
yeah,
countries just seem to be a bit biased towards the English.
yeah,
So
yeah,
against the
yeah,
English.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
just said, it became like they were getting too much politics in the fight scene.
So that was the time you thought, right, I'm going to flip the script and go professional.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about you had a fight at Carrow Road, Norwich City Football Ground. Was that your first professional fight?
It was, yeah, my first fight. Carrow Road, massive,
Yeah.
massive for me. He was on a John Faxon undercard.
Nice.
Um, yeah, so everyone came. It was a big occasion. I fought a guy called Paul Bonson.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he was a journeyman, but he was a tough guy. I think it was his
Hmm.
97th fight. It was my
Hmm.
first. So obviously, the fear kicks in and the adrenaline kicks in
Yeah,
and the nerves. But we did it and we had a comfortable win, and that was a start.
that was the start. That's nice to get off to a winning start, isn't it?
Yeah.
So so I'm going to ask you a question now from what I call resist and transform, and the question is, and this is self-help, personal development for those listening. Can you possibly share with me a moment in your career, whether that's amateur or professional, when you had to confront a harsh truth about yourself?
That's a tricky one. There's probably been a lot really. Um, I think one of the big things for me was I always thought I was indestructible growing up as a kid.
Yeah,
I always thought nobody's going to beat me, whether it be in the ring, in the street, anywhere. And when
yeah.
you get your first loss, it's kind of like, right, any loss is, that's a hard pill. That is, it really
Okay.
is.
Yeah,
And it's just where you go from there. I've seen some great fighters in the past. They're on top. They're on top of the world. They're winning. They're winning. They're winning, and they
yeah.
get a loss, and then they can never come back from it. You know,
Wow. Wow.
it mentally it does something to people mentally, and they can't come back from a loss. But I think it's important to be able to take them losses and just think. I always thought if I came out of the ring and I lost, and I thought I couldn't do any more,
Yeah,
then I'll quit.
yeah.
If I came out from a loss and I thought I didn't do that right, I didn't do this right, I could have done this better, then I'll carry on.
And then you carry on.
Yeah.
So, what was your first loss then as a professional?
As a professional with Derek Chisora,
Yeah, because you fought Derek twice, didn't you?
did, yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean Derek's a legend, isn't he? And to be able to say that you fought Derek Chisora twice, and they were quite close fights, weren't they?
well, the well, you know me, Matt. I don't like to make excuses or anything, but I mean, the first fight was completely my fault. Completely my fault. I mean, I'd watched Derek come up at the same time as me. I knew that Frank Warren needed one of us to go forward, so that's why he put us together. I just watched Derek Chisora fight a guy called Darren Morgan at the time. Darren Morgan was a big Welsh lad. He must be 25 stone. He was a big puncher, and I saw him fight Derek, and he dropped Derek with a shot, and it didn't get scored as a knockdown, but I thought it did. It
Yeah,
was definitely a knockdown, and in my opinion, Derek lost the fight.
yeah,
Um, it must be maybe a month or 2 months later, I fight Darren Morgan,
yeah,
and I beat him quite comfortably
yeah.
on points.
Hmm.
And they offered me the Chisora fight, and I thought this is going to be an easy fight for me. I'd watched him fight, and I thought there's going to be no problem for me. And my own stupidity, 2 weeks before the fight, I was in Egypt, all inclusive, not got back the drink, having a party, thinking that Derek will be an easy fight for me.
Yeah,
I got back 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, I was boxing, and in all honesty, I just had no energy.
yeah,
There was no energy in there. And then I remember that first loss and going back to the change rooms, the York Hall,
yeah,
and just sitting there, and I really just felt like crying.
yeah,
And I can remember, like, I was just, it's just no, I just can't even describe how gutted I was.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I
That
sat
was
there and I kind of made a promise to myself there and then in the change rooms that this is never going to happen again. I'll make
yeah,
sure I train and train my ass off all the time there.
yeah.
Yeah, and basically just get it right. You can't
That's
take
right.
anyone for granted in the boxing game. A
No.
punch can change anything. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
anything can be a slip up.
yeah, yeah. Exactly, exactly. So, you fought in Ireland. Was that twice you fought in Ireland? In
Yeah,
was it
that was
in
Martin
Belfast?
Rogan. Yeah,
Yeah. Tell us about that. Tell us about that because that was quite a pivotal moment in your career, wasn't it?
yeah. I think it was straight after I won the prize fighter, and
Ah,
so I know they had big plans for Martin Rogan. He was knocking everybody out. He
yeah,
just beat Audley Harrison. He just knocked out Matt Skelton for the British, and should have been the European title as well. And he
yeah,
was kind of like he was on a roll. you
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
they said, and I can remember about a week before saying to Graham in the gym, well, they offered the fight. I said, you know, that Martin Rogan, you know, he's made for me. I love fighting bullies. I can't stand a bully. And to me, he was a bully fighter.
Yeah.
And I said, do you think I could beat him? He went, yeah, I reckon you could. Be trying hard, you could beat him. And then about a week later, he called me. Graham called me and just said, you know, you said about Martin Rogan, think you beat him? I went, yeah. He went, fight's there if you want it. And I was like, really? I said, well, I'll ask you again, Graham. Can I beat him? He said, yeah, but you're going to have to be on top form. So I said, right, we'll take it then. And I don't think they expected us to take the fight.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think it was kind of like, you know, we'll ask Sam, but he won't take it, you know. But I said, yeah. Went over there, and to start with, everything was lovely. You know, there was everyone was very respectful, and it was nice to see you, Sam. We'll do public workouts. We'll do this. We'll do that. You know, and obviously I upset the party, and they didn't like that. And then
They
after
upset
that,
him.
it was
No.
just yeah, it was just a completely different story the second time. It was you know, I've been all around the world in some real, you know, nasty places even, but
Yeah.
I did feel uncomfortable in Belfast. I did.
But you rose to the occasion,
Yeah,
not once but twice.
yeah, that's it. And like I
That's
said,
right.
I always thought he was, you know, he was made for me, Martin Rogan. You know, you kind of
Yeah.
know with some fighters, you kind of know what you're getting. You know, the guy was a strong puncher, and every punch was like a devastating punch. But you kind of get used to it. You know what's coming. You know, a jab is going to be with bad intention. You know, a right hand is going to be bad intention. You
Yeah.
know, so you can kind of set yourself for it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. You set yourself for it. Yeah. Yeah. So
But
you,
it's just
sorry,
about a bit of focus. You know, I mean, going into that, I was just so focused. You know,
focused.
I was in a good place. You know, in my personal life, I trained very hard for that, and I was just ready. Yeah.
You're ready. That's right. And that's the difference that made the difference.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about the Sky Sports prize fighter. I actually remember watching that. I didn't know who you were at the time, and yeah, you came on and you were introduced as a heavyweight from Norwich, and I was like, wow, Norwich, this should be interesting. And yeah, you went and won it. So
Yeah.
tell us about that. What was that like? Because that's a different kind of fight, isn't it?
Yeah, it was, you know, so the setup for that is completely different to how you would train for like, you know, a 12 rounder.
Yeah.
But I think between like my, you know, Graham and my team, you know, I was doing a lot of running and conditioning stuff with Neil Featherby as well, and obviously Graham Everett, my trainer, and
Yeah.
you know, you know, Graham's a master of the, you know, of the art, if you like, and he knows what to do. He knows how to play things, and
Yeah.
we just got the game plan spot on for that.
Spot on for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. How did that feel when you won that? What was that like winning that?
it was a weird feeling because I knew like some of the fighters in it, you know, and in my opinion, I got the hardest draw, and I thought you know, I just knew I would, you know. So you know, I got Pele Reid, who's known as a massive puncher in the game of boxing, you know, and I thought he's, you know, he's going to be dangerous. But again, I can beat him. I know I can. And then
Yeah.
I thought a guy called Luke Simpkin. He was known as a journeyman, but he was a strong puncher.
Yeah.
But I boxed him before, so I knew.
Yeah.
Um, and then obviously I had Chris Burton in the final, who was the favourite to win the competition.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's just one of those situations where it's like, you know, I will not be denied.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. You were focused on your goal.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about the Commonwealth title. To tell us about that and what happened there and what that felt like to win that.
Um, well, for me, it was my world title again. You know, it was my pro world title when I won that. It's just like it's my, you know, I'd won the Southern area, I'd won the prize fighter, but this was kind of like for me, it was a major title. You know,
Yeah.
Commonwealth was a recognised title, and I just thought,
Yeah.
you know, now this is it for me. This is where I'm going to just going to keep going up from here. You know.
Yeah. 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 And when you won that, how did that feel? It was how overwhelming was that feeling? Can you feel that now if you think about it?
Oh yeah, 100%. Honestly, it'd
Yeah.
be one of the best feeling in the world. Knowing that you can just go home, with your head high. Everyone. I mean, the whole city in Norwich, they all watched it in the bars, the nightclubs, the clubs, in pubs all around the city. So all the people who couldn't make it, and it was like coming back and being like an A-list celebrity when I got back to Norwich. It was great. It was a good
Wow.
thing. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Wow, that's quite overwhelming if you think
yeah,
about it. Well, that's amazing, and that's the Commonwealth title just above your shoulder there, isn't it?
yeah. It is, mate. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't actually
amazing.
see it on there because your face is in the way. So
Yeah, that's
um,
a beautiful belt, a beautiful belt indeed. So I'm going to ask you another question now from the hero's journey. So if you could envision your ultimate warrior self, what would that look like? So describe your superhero self is what I'm saying.
that's a tough one, Matt. That's a tough one. Describe how I would be if I was a superhero.
Yes, if you could resonate with a superhero, what would that be? What would that look like? What kind of powers would you have?
I don't know really, because it's like I've always wanted. I've always been the same. I've always wanted to help people
Yeah,
whenever I can. You know what I mean? It don't matter what it is. If I can help, I will help. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? Don't like ever seeing anyone kind of down on their ass, because I've been there in my life. I've been in them situations, and it's kind of like you don't ever want anyone to feel like that. You know how it feels.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So anywhere I can help. So just to be a decent person who can help people. That's it, really.
Yeah, because I heard that you help out at the local soup kitchens for the homeless. Do you still do that, or is that
Yeah,
something
I've been doing that now for about the last 5 years. So we
that's
do
interesting?
every Tuesday night the People's Picnic in the city centre.
Wow,
Um,
5 years.
yeah, so
Wow, so 5 years is a long time to be doing that. They must know you really well down there.
they do. I mean, everyone knows me from boxing anyway as well. I get often asked like, "Why do you do this?" And it's like, do I get paid? I said, of course I don't get paid, but why do you do it then? Like, because I
Yeah,
can, Matt. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, yeah. I get it.
don't get me
Yeah,
wrong. I've been on the bread line growing up and stuff. When we didn't have anything, and we had neighbours who'd help, and family who'd help. But it's you can, in a way, put yourself in their shoes. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Put yourself in their
And I know some of
shoes.
them don't help themselves, but when you sit there sometimes and have a conversation and you realise what they've actually been through in life, it's no wonder they are the way they are.
Yeah,
I
that's
think a
right.
lot of people are just quick to fob them off. They're on drugs. They'll only buy drugs. They'll only buy drugs. They'll only buy drink. And you
Mm,
think, well, if
mm,
that's going to get them through a night when they're
mm.
sleeping, there's like sub-zero conditions sometimes. You know what I mean? Can you blame
That's right. Yeah, yeah. That's
them?
that's you
Some of
can't
them have
blame
had
them.
some really like horrendous lives, mate. They really have. And you tell us some of the stories, it's stuff you'd
Mm.
hear in films you just wouldn't believe.
Wow, wow. Yeah, I can resonate with that. So yeah, there's a lot. There's a big part of you that's very compassionate towards the people that have been through what they've been through, and I suppose you can relate to that because like you said, you've been on the breadline yourself as well, so you know what that's like.
Yeah.
So in between winning the Commonwealth and getting started for the British heavyweight run up. What happened in between the run up to the British heavyweight title?
Well, at the time, I was Commonwealth champion, and my old friend Derek was he just won the British title. I was due to fight Danny Williams for the British title, and I pulled out through injury. Um, Nearly cut my thumb off.
Wow,
Yeah, in a really stupid like kitchen accident, opening a box of porridge. Believe it or not.
really?
Yeah,
Jesus. So,
yeah.
so
Yeah, the fight was off. They then offered the fight to Derek. He took the fight. I think it was at I think it was at like West Ham Stadium. Um,
yeah,
yeah, and so I sat and watched it in a pub with some friends, and I was absolutely gutted when I watched it. You know what I mean? I just thought that could have been me. I could
yeah.
have been British champion.
Mm-mm.
Um, yeah, and then later down the line, we had the fight for the British and Commonwealth with Derek. At the time, my mum was very ill in hospital, She was in Addenbrooke's Hospital. She'd had an aneurysm on the brain, stem of the brain.
Mm.
Um, and it was basically a case of when Mum went, because she'd been in hospital before and she was obviously really scared. Um, and I just said to her, Mum, I said, listen, I'll leave the hospital when you leave the hospital. I'll go home when you go home.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I lived in my car. I had a big Grand Jeep Cherokee at the time. It was all kitted out like a bed in the back. So every night I was sleeping in the car park. Sometimes we would manage to get a hotel in one of the staff digs, but
Mhm.
90% of the time it was in the car park. Um, Family would just bring up food during the day, for me. I was running around the car park. I was running around the hospital. I asked the staff if I could use their gym, which was, it wasn't really a gym,
Yeah.
but they said I could. Um, yeah, and in the I'd drive back to Norwich and I'd do some training sometimes, and then I'd come back to the hospital. Um, and obviously I said to Graham one day, I can't do this, Graham. I'm not ready. I'm not fit. He agreed that we'd pull out of the fight
Hmm.
with Chisora. And then when we put it to Frank Warren, I think the board said if we don't fight because it's been inactive for a while, they're going to strip you of your title. So obviously,
Wow.
being a proud man, I didn't want it to happen. I wanted to be Commonwealth champion still.
Yeah.
I stupidly agreed to the fight,
Hmm.
um, and on the night, I just mentally, physically, I just weren't there at all. You know,
Well, it's understandable, mate. It's
I'd be
understandable, really.
I'd be in the gym with Graham, and I could be sparring or anything, and I'd hear the phone ring. I'd just
Yeah.
jump out and grab my phone.
Yeah.
What's going on? What's wrong?
Yeah.
So looking back now, I should have just said, take take the title back. Then I'll fight another day. But I didn't. I did, and that is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That must have been an extremely challenging time for you in your life. And I met your mum a few times, because you actually had in Norwich in NR1 in the centre of Norwich, you actually had a sports diner, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was called KO Sports Diner,
yeah,
and that's when I first really got to know you. I
yeah,
think your dad introduced me to you around that time. So sort of fast forwarding a little bit, your mum had come out of hospital, your brother Ben, and your family would be down there quite a lot, on a day-to-day basis.
yeah,
You were also training in Austria, I think, with Vladimir Klitschko
yeah,
at the time, and you just come back from Klitschko camp, and that's when I met you. That's when your dad introduced me to you. So, what was that like training with Vladimir Klitschko in Austria?
it was incredible. It was. I was meant to actually be best man at a friend's wedding. Well, but he just said to me, he said, "Listen, it's an opportunity, great opportunity. I can get someone else to do it. You go." And I did. It was nice that Vladimir sent him a video message saying, thanks for letting me borrow Simon away.
Yeah,
And
yeah, wow,
so that kind of went down like that was very very nice thing for him to have.
yeah,
When I got
wow,
home, it was all over the papers and stuff. So
wow.
I think they had a good day.
You had a good day, yeah, yeah.
But the
So,
camp was amazing. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
one Vladimir. They're very nice people.
yeah,
Very very nice people. Very respectful. They look after you well. They treat their sparring partners like kings.
wow,
And everything we wanted was to hand. We stayed in
wow.
a very nice hotel. We had all the good facilities. Anything we wanted was food, drink, sports therapy. Anything we wanted was there to use.
Wow, wow. Yeah, I think you said Vladimir used a psychologist and did some meditation and some hypnosis as well, which is where you first found out about that.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, who was over there with you at the time? Because there was a group of you, I think, wasn't there? He would like bring over a load of heavyweight boxers and train with lots of different faces.
Yeah, I think at the time he used to bring over about 10 to 15 sparring partners, but a lot of those would get
Yeah.
sent home if they got dropped or they were getting, they weren't really, you're cutting the mustard. You know what I mean? But yeah, I met some nice people out there. Um, I was friends with pretty much everyone there at the time. I mean, we've since fell out. Me and Dylan White for one. Um, we were quite friendly when we were there. We were good friends, and for some reason, when I got back, he decided he was going to start running me down in the media. So, um, yeah, that started our kind of war for a little while. We had a bit of a Twitter war for a good year. But there was some good fighters there. You had I shared a house with Uzek for about 5 weeks.
You shared
Um,
a house with Uzek.
yeah, for about 5 weeks. Yeah. Um, Funny story actually. I came back one day and he's in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And I just I saw him walk out of my bedroom. I said, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, we have a," because he couldn't speak very good English at the time.
Yeah.
He's like, "We have a problem." I said, "Yeah, we do have a problem. Why are you in my bedroom?" You know what I mean? And he's like, "Oh," and he just started doing this. And I was like, "What's he?" So he's doing this, and I was like, "Well, what does that mean?" And he went, "Oh, just come." Anyway, we walked in my bedroom, and there had been like somehow, some way, there was loads of these like army ants that were massive, and they were all over
Oh,
my bedroom, all over my bed. He'd followed them into my room. You see, they got under the door, so he was just seeing what was going on. But obviously, I didn't know the guy at the time, and I thought, "What are you doing in my bedroom?"
yeah.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, but he's a nice enough fella, but he was just the language barrier was quite tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Did
Yeah.
did you did you ever get to spar him?
No, no, at the time, no, no, it
No.
was just
No.
only Sparring Vladimir.
Yeah,
No.
no, that's cool. That's cool. And obviously Dillian White's had a really good career. I think I remember speaking to you before, and I think I remember even saying you have a lot of respect for him now.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, we fell out, but he's done what he's done and he's done well. So what can you say?
Yeah,
I tried to get the fight with Dylan White a lot. You know, um, I kept asking for the fight. It didn't come off.
yeah,
I was due to fight in a small hall show in Norwich,
yeah,
and I think it was. Oh yeah, I broke my hand. I've been out in Germany with Graham, and
yeah,
we've been doing some sparring out there. A guy called Willie Fisher, an ex-Herbie Hyde opponent. Yeah, tough man. But I broke my hand, so we had to pull out of the fight. Um, what happened then? Yeah, yeah, I had to pull out of the fight. So then I think a day or 2 days later, we get a call from Eddie Hearn
yeah,
offering us to fight for Dylan White, and I was like, "Well, I've broken my hand. Why would you offer me the fight now?"
yeah, yeah,
And then it was said they offered me the fight, and I turned the fight down. I said,
yeah.
"Give me 8 weeks for the hand to get better, and we'll fight." But
That's right.
yeah,
Yeah, you need a full fight camp without any injuries. Very
that's it.
important.
Yeah,
When you fighting someone like Dillian White, I mean, he has had an amazing career.
yeah,
So, getting back to your diner, there's some questions that I wanted to ask you because that diner was the place to be. You had a couple of celebrities come up, well, in the sense of the word, um, lead singer from the streets,
yeah. Mike Skinner. Yeah,
Mike Skinner came up, and
yeah,
obviously, your man Derek Chisora came up as well, all the way
yeah,
from
yeah,
London, and you had a couple of meals on the menu, and if I can remember, one of them was called the Big KO.
yeah.
What was that? What exactly was that?
The big KO was like it was an eating challenge where it was like a massive burger topped with like everything you can think of. It was massive. In my opinion, it was near impossible. But we had one person do it. It was actually a girl who finished it first, and she was part of the rugby team at the UEA in Norwich.
Wow, wow.
Um, and then we had the guy from America come over, the man feeds food guy.
All right.
I forgot his
Wow.
name now, but he did it. I mean, the girl took about 2.5 hours to do it,
Amazing.
and then the guy from America did it in about 27 minutes.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
the guy was a beast. Yeah,
So you also had the Rocky Pigiano. What was
that's right.
that?
It was just the biggest bacon bap you ever seen in your life. Yeah, it was massive. Yeah, I tried to get Mike. I actually tried to get Mike Skinner to do it, but he was having none of it. He's not. He's not the biggest fella.
He was having none of it.
Yeah,
Now, you had a bit of a surprise one morning, didn't you, when you turned up to open the cafe with you and your brother Ben, and someone was breaking in. What
yeah.
happened there?
Well, it was actually the evening. We'd been out and we got some stock,
Ah,
and we went back the evening to just drop off the stock for the next day. And as we walked in, obviously all the lights were off. It's dark, and we could just hear someone. So I ran out the back, and as I ran out the back, I just saw a pair of legs hanging from the window.
oh my
So
God.
I managed to get out on the roof of the diner. So we ran around the back, and we just we got hold of him around the back.
Yeah, brilliant. And that made it into the papers as well
It did, yeah,
for
yeah,
the right reasons. For the right
yeah,
reasons.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
the guy was pretty known to the police anyway for doing that kind of stuff. But he wouldn't be doing it again in a hurry. Put
he
it that
wouldn't
way.
be doing that again in a hurry.
No.
So I have another question for you. So what sacrifices have you made to, pursue your dreams as a professional heavyweight champion?
Oh, that's again. That's there's so many things I could list, Matt. Do you know what I mean? You being a professional boxer, even being any professional sportsman, they sacrifice a lot. You know, you miss Christmases, you miss birthdays, you miss family holidays, you miss you miss a lot. But it's the discipline that you need to do. You need this discipline to get through and do stuff. You know,
Yeah,
and get the job done.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, even just silly things, you know, I'd be driving back from the gym and it could be a really hot summer's day and I'd see a group of guys sitting outside a pub, you know, just having a cold pint. And they'd be like, oh, you don't know, just one pint. You don't know how lucky you are. You know, that's what I used
Yeah,
to think. But then, you know, it's what Ali said, you know, suffer now and spend the rest of your life a champion.
that's right. That's what Ali said. Yeah, yes, indeed. Yeah, so discipline equals freedom.
That's it.
So you had a couple of fights in the run up to your British heavyweight title fight. You fought Harry Miles. That was your British title eliminator, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So tell us about that fight.
um, I mean, what can I tell you? I mean, the guy had a bit of success going before that. Fancied his chances. Started, you know, running me down again in the media. I think his exact words were, "Sexton couldn't knock out a wank." You know. So what happened was when I did knock him down, knock him out, I told him that you know, well, I couldn't knock out a wank, but I knocked you out. You know.
So that was a nice end
that
to the fight.
was it. Yeah.
So yeah, so you knocked him out. And what round was that in? I
I
forgot
think
that.
that was the second.
Oh, that was the second round,
Yeah,
and
the
then that
second
was
one.
second round. That was your British title eliminator,
Yeah.
and then you had your British heavyweight title fight with Gary Cornish, the Highlander.
Yeah. It'd been
So
a, I mean, I've been out of the ring for like about a year before I boxed Gary, probably just over a year. And in all honesty, Matt, I was probably ready to hang my gloves up. You know, not a lot was happening. I was getting a bit, you know, I was in, you know, looking back now, I was still quite young, weren't I? But in my eyes, I was getting on a bit, you know.
mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
I went even up for the fight, to be honest. I just really
Wow.
won, you know. And it was, I remember going to the gym one day and I just said to Graham, you know, I don't even know if I'm going to do it. And he just looked at me and he just said, you know, if you go your whole career without winning the British title, you're going to be so pissed off with yourself. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So we done it.
And was that your third attempt or your second?
Third attempt because we
Third.
fought Chisora, then David Price, and then it was third attempt with Gary Cornish.
That's right, Gary Cornish.
Yeah.
And yeah, you had you had a big tragedy, didn't you? Sort of in the sort of couple of years building up to that.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that or not?
Yeah, I mean, it was no, you know, no secret that my mum was very ill at the time. I told you before when you know leading up to
Yeah,
the Missouri fight and stuff, and unfortunately in 2016 she passed away.
sorry.
Yeah, and
So
you know I can remember saying to I can remember saying to Graham at the time. I I called Graham and said, "Listen, Graham." I know you think I'm probably going to be not in the right state of mind to fight. I said, but I need it now more than ever.
Yeah.
I need the focus. I need the discipline more. If not, I'm just going to go off the rails.
Yeah.
So I threw myself into the gym straight away, and we were training.
Yeah. You threw yourself into the gym straight away. You're focused and you got the training. You were focused and the training kept you focused. The goal kept you focused. So you really the stars really sort of all aligned in the sense of the word and you knew I think perhaps you knew deep down that this was your moment.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So
And I mean, to be honest with you as well, I did say to my mum, I did promise her, I said, Mum, I will win a British title one day, don't you worry. So
yeah,
I keep the promise, you know what I mean?
yeah, you keep the promise. Yeah, you
Yeah.
kept the promise. You made a promise. You had a what I call a higher purpose.
Yeah.
So Friday, the 6th of October, Box Nation, you versus Gary Cornish, the Highlander. All 6'6", was he? 6'7"?
Something like that, yeah. 6, 7, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about the fight. Tell us about how did you feel walking out in the ring before the bell, when the bell, just lay it out for us.
I felt confident, it's like I felt confident, but leading up to the fight, I had a few issues leading up to the fight.
Right.
I tore my bicep muscle. No, sorry,
Shit.
I tore my tricep muscle,
Yeah.
which just went black.
Shit.
I tore my calf muscle.
Jesus.
Yeah, I broke my nose
Wow.
in sparring. I was sparring with Fabio Wardley. Wardley was coming up through. He was doing really well, and we started having some real good competitive spars, and you know, and we were sparring one day, and he punched me, and I just knew my nose had just gone, and
Wow.
I didn't really say anything to anyone because I
Wow.
just thought, I thought after this fight, I thought I'm not going to pull out. I'm not going to pull out, even though I remember I had a major abscess as well, and my tooth was falling out and crumbling as well. So I thought, could anything go any worse? I got a torn tricep, a torn a torn calf muscle, a broken nose, and an abscess on my tooth crumbling. And I just thought, there's no way I'm pulling out of this because when I done this, I always went into that fight thinking I'll just fight now until I lose, and then if I'm honest, I'll just so I went in
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we went into the fight. I was confident. Everything was relaxed in the change rooms. And I went out and I went 12 rounds. I felt very rusty. I hadn't boxed for a year. I felt like my distance was really out and stuff.
Hmm. hmm
But we got the job done.
Yeah, you got the job done. Thanks for your honesty. And was that a unanimous decision?
Yeah, I think. To be honest, I knew that I was well ahead.
Yeah.
I thought maybe at least 5 rounds. I was 5 rounds up. I think they gave it to me by 4 rounds in the end.
Yeah.
Um, but again, you're on his turf, and what happens? Sometimes you can get the bad decisions.
Yes.
But that's why I
Yeah.
did beat. It wouldn't have gone 12 rounds, but it did.
Yeah.
But we still got the win.
You still got the win. Yeah. Yeah. That's good to hear. That's good to hear because you do hear about you do hear about the W going to the home fighter sometimes and people getting robbed and that didn't happen. You won a fight and you became the British heavyweight champion. And in that moment when you raised that Longsdale belt in the ring, how did that feel? Because I could see the look on your face because it's on the
Yeah.
picture behind you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This one. Yeah.
There's
That
you,
was
there's Ben, there's Graham,
yeah. That's it. Yeah. And Mervyn Turner as well.
and Mervyn Turner,
Yeah. And John Faxon, I think he's in
and
there. Yeah.
John Faxton. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. But no, it was good. It was like in the split second it happened. It was like yeah, we've won. And then the first thing that would come into my head was the promise I kept.
the first thing that came into your head was the
Yeah,
promise that you kept.
that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I got emotional.
And then you got emotional, but why not?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not every day you can say you win the British heavyweight title.
that's it. That was a proud time. Do you know what I mean? Just for that reason alone, more than anything. And I
Mm,
remember we got off the plane at Norwich Airport, and I drove straight to the cemetery, and I laid it on a grave.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's deep. That's
and that
deep.
was yeah. I got a lovely picture of it on there, and I just thought, right. Then I just thought to myself, if I don't do nothing else in boxing now, my granddad died just before I won the Commonwealth title, and
Sorry.
on his deathbed, he said to me, he said, I'm not going to be there to see you win it. He said, but just promise me you will. And I did. I
Wow.
promised him, so I kept the promise for the Commonwealth. Which is very important to me. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then and I kept the promise for the British title as well.
Wow.
So
So,
that was in my head and in my heart. I'd done what I showed to do.
yeah.
I never claimed to be the best
Yeah.
at British. I never even claimed to be the best anywhere. But I trained hard,
Yeah.
and I've done the best I could.
You done the best you could.
The
And
circumstances maybe would have been different. It maybe could have been me who went the same route as Chisora instead.
hmm hmm
But you can't live your life on what ifs, can you, mate?
no, you can't live your life on what ifs. That's
Yeah.
right. Well, and to say that, you're a man of your word, and and that's an understatement. So yeah, another question for you, Sam. So, what high performance habits have you adopted to replace any, bad habits that you had in training?
Hmm. I'm
You
just trying to.
mentioned you mentioned discipline.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, honestly, my drive was always like, think about where you come from and where you can be, and that was always my number one drive.
Yeah, think
You
about
think,
where you can be. Yeah,
yeah, think about where you come from, what you can be,
yeah.
how your life can change.
hmm
Obviously, money is a big factor in life. We all know that.
hmm
I know you'll hear a lot of fighters say, "I don't do it for the money." Everyone does it for the money, Matt.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, especially when you got a family to run and you got a house to run and stuff, if not fight, would fight for free, wouldn't they?
yeah. That's right. That's
And,
right.
and you do and you do fight for free in the beginning. You're an amateur fighter, you don't get paid, and you're doing
hmm
it for the love of it, And it's when you start realizing actually I can get somewhere and I can start taking some money for this.
hmm
It's
hmm
it's your job, isn't it? You know.
hmm
I love my job. Some days you get up and you feel like crap and you can be bothered to train,
Yeah.
but some them days where you do still go to the gym,
hmm
that makes a difference and it stands you apart from the people who don't want to train.
That's right. Yeah. So having that goal and being focused on where you're going and allowing that to pull you forward.
Yeah,
What advice would you give for, there's a lot of people that listen to this are sort of between the ages of 20 to sort of 25, probably starting out on their professional boxing journey. What advice would you give to them if, for example, they're going through a phase where they're thinking already perhaps, I might have lost the love for this a little bit because it's hard making ends meet. It's hard selling them tickets. It'd be easier if I was an electrician or something. The first thing that came into my head. What advice would you
yeah.
give to that young person coming up?
Well, I think everyone has them thoughts anyway, man. Let's face it. Everyone just says that. I mean, I've said it a million times. This isn't for me anymore. Like I'm missing out on a lot of stuff. I could. The hardest bit is getting there, Matt. Do you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? It's
Hospital's
like
getting there.
the hardest bit is getting there. Because it's like you can't. You have to focus. You have to spend so much time on training that. Well, how can you really earn some money? How can you get a full
Mm-hmm.
time job? Do you know what I mean? So it's like it's just a hustle. It's a constant hustle on what you're going to
Mm-hmm.
do next, what you're going to do. But then when you get there and you actually
Mm-hmm.
start taking some good money for fights and that, it's worth it, mate. It's just like you're doing what you love to do. I always had the devil and the angel on my shoulder all the time when I was training. Do you know what I mean? I say the devil and the angel because the devil would make me do more. They just call him the devil because he was nasty. Do you know what I mean? And the angel
Mm-hmm.
was like, "We've done enough, Sam. That's fine." Do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But
Mm-hmm.
it was like who gonna listen to?
Mm-hmm.
Once it'd be like it would be I could be running around a track. I think I told you this before, and I could tell myself I'm gonna do 8 laps at a running track.
Mm-hmm.
Sprints, 8 sprints.
Mm-hmm.
I get to 7, and I think
Mm-hmm.
this is hard. This is getting hard now. Just don't worry about it. Just leave it. And the other one to kick in, he'd be like, "Oh, you're gonna leave it, are you?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." You talk to yourself all the time. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to leave it. I'll be like, yeah, it's fine. You've done enough. All right. now you were going to cheat yourself from one lap, you're going to do an extra five,
Hmm.
and he'd
Hmm.
always win.
Mm.
So I could have done
Mm.
eight. Do you know what I mean? And now
Yeah.
now I'm doing like 15. You know,
No, doing 15.
and
Yeah.
he'd always win. I can always remember very, very clearly. And I was training with a guy who used to train with quite a lot, and we all know him. That was Gary Briggs,
Gary
right?
Briggs.
And we were running, and we were at Mousehold, and we were doing a thing what we called the figure of eights. They were loops, and they were killers, mate. I'm telling you,
Mm.
they were
Mm.
killers.
Mm.
And one day, um, I said, I just said to Gary, I said we'd only ever done six of these before tops,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I got there with Gary this day, and I said, "So what, we're going to go for the six then?" I went, "No, we're going to do 12 today." He was like, "What?" He said, "That's just don't. That's never been done. We don't do 12." Do you know what I mean? And I said,
Yeah.
"Today I'm doing 12."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
got to then I got to 10, and the voice kicked in.
Voice
It
kicked
said,
in.
"The voice kicked in. You've done enough, Sam. You've done enough."
Right.
And once, that is the only time in my whole career that I agreed with that voice.
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, you're going to do yourself in."
Yeah.
And I stopped, and I thought, "You've done enough." But
Yeah.
you always got to be willing to do what the next person's not doing.
Always got to be willing to
It's
do what the next person's not doing.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
very easy, right? It's like your brain is like most of boxing. A big percentage of boxing is mental.
Mental.
It is. It really is, mate. It's like your brain will always play tricks on you. Your brain will always look for the easy way out. Always.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, don't do it. Oh, it's just easy. Go over there and have a sandwich. You know what I mean? Go over there and eat a bag of crisps. Just do this, do that. It will
Yeah.
always look for the easy route. But your body is capable of so much more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I'd lay in the gym, mate, in the boxing ring after a very, very hard workout, and I'd lay there on my back. And honestly, if I didn't know any different, I would think I was dying, and
Yeah.
I would go to the hospital, mate. It's
Yeah.
only the belief and the trust in my own body for
Yeah.
years of training that I thought to myself, no, just breathe,
Hmm.
chill yourself out, mate, and you're going to be all right.
Mm.
But a lot of people go their whole lives, Matt, and they never even know what that feels like. They
Yeah.
don't know what they're capable of, mate.
Yeah.
Things get too hard, they start getting a bit uncomfortable. And what happens when people get uncomfortable? They
Hmm.
step outside the comfort zone.
Hmm.
They don't want to be outside the comfort zone, mate, because
Hmm.
it's too hard.
It's too
And you know
hard.
what they
Yeah.
say? Nothing. The comfort zone's a great place, mate, but nothing grows there, does it? If you want to
That's
grow,
right.
mate, you got to put yourself through hell.
Yeah. You got to put
You
yourself
tell a
through
lot
hell.
about your character as well when you do that. When you've actually been there and you've been in the trenches and you know that that was hard, man. There's not many people who do this, and
Mm.
you can be proud of yourself. You can go home, you can sit there no time, and you think, "You know what? Yeah, you've done enough." And I used to,
Mm.
it's weird because you talk to yourself all the time, no matter what you're doing. And
Mm.
I congratulate myself. Sounds
Hmm.
stupid,
Hmm.
but I would have like, well done, mate. You done really
Mm.
well then. Yeah,
Mm. 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 Yeah. So there's quite a few things there. So
yeah,
number one, you've mentioned the hustle. So it's important that you keep hustling, you embrace the hustle. Number two, you talked about the devil, and your conscience essentially is what I'm feeding back for you. You got the shoulder angel and the shoulder devil, and you've got to kind of embrace that shadow side of yourself in order
yeah,
to become successful, as a professional. You've got to keep embracing that shadow side and keep incorporating that shadow
yeah,
side, that devil side into your hustle. You've got the mental and emotional side, and boxing, you're saying, is more mental, and emotional than what people think, and that your brain is essentially not your friend, and it plays tricks on you. So there's a lot of things there. There's a lot of takeaways there. So I'm
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that I haven't summarized everything that you've just said. But yeah, there's some great takeout there. Thanks very much. So
That's it.
moving on.
Everyone's got a shadow side, Matt. Do you know what I mean? Everybody, don't have to be a sportsman. Everyone's got a shadow side. And do you know what?
Everyone's got a shadow.
Do you know what I mean? And it's easier to follow the shadow as well. It's easier to
Yeah,
follow the shadow than do the right thing, makes it easier.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It's easier
yeah,
to stop running. It's easier to be an arsehole. It's easier to, because it's just, you don't have to
yeah,
do it for anyone else. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? So you need a
yeah,
purpose before you're going to do stuff. You've got no purpose to do it. You might as well just not do it.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Not do it. Yeah, and having that goal to pull you on as well. So you've got quite a few things there in between achieving that goal, and those are all the skills, really skills that you used, mental and emotional and physical skills, to get you to where you became the British heavyweight and Commonwealth champion. Now, there was one final fight that I wanted to talk to you about, and that was but just before I do that, I wanted to ask you what it was like for you to walk out in front of a home crowd at Carrow Road with the Lonsdale belt.
Amazing, mate. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
It was. I mean, everybody knows me. No disrespect to it, but I'm not the biggest football fan. But
fair
everyone
enough.
knows that Norwich City football ground is the heart of the city. That's where everyone's heart is. And for
Yeah,
everyone who's into the sport, you know, um, to walk out there in front of 25,000 people and they're all cheering for you, it's just
yeah,
it's amazing. Do you know what I mean? It's really nice. Yeah.
yeah.
It's quite a funny story actually because when they interviewed me on the pitch, I'm obviously on the big screens either end of the pitch as well, and I managed to get myself through, and I managed to not talk about football too much because I don't really know too much about football. But the guy says to me, said, "Oh, just before you go, start the chant," and I was like, "Oh shit, I
Oh
don't."
shit.
All I know is kick it. All I know is kick it or throw it in.
Yeah,
So I'm sorry to disappoint football fans here, Norwich City. I love the city, I really do, but. Um, so anyway, I said kick it or throw it in, and luckily the stadium just went nuts and they joined in.
yeah.
Yeah, they
Brilliant.
went nuts. They joined in. And you couldn't hear me anymore anyway. And
Oh
I
wow.
kind of stood there and I thought, thank God they did because I'd have made myself look pretty silly. I think.
Well, do you know what, mate? I bet that was one of those moments that you'll treasure for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
So, Huey Fury. So this was a massive fight. This was your first defense of the British heavyweight title. From what we've talked about, I mean, it sounds like, when you fought Gary Cornish, it was like this is like last chance saloon for me. I'm going to put all my cards on the table. I'm going to do my best, even though I've got ring rust and I've had all this shit going on in my life, and oh my God, it's just like I'm just gonna throw everything at it. And after winning that British heavyweight title, it must have been like just this massive relief mentally and emotionally from you. What was it like to have to sort of like go really, really deep? Because that's what I'm getting, going really, really deep to then face Huey Fury, who we now know is world class. What was that like?
yeah. Well, the thing is, after the British title fight, even before the British title fight, I said to myself, you know, I'll fight for the British title because Graham's right. If I don't win the British title, I'm gonna be gutted. If I go
Yeah,
my whole career and I don't win the British title, so in my opinion, the British title look wise is the best looking belt in the world. I love the British title,
yeah,
and
it's a lovely belt.
but I can remember there was, and I said after that, I said, listen, I'll keep fighting until I lose now.
Yeah,
Whether it be five fights, one fight, whatever it be, I'll
yeah.
fight. But I said, because I knew I didn't have a lot of time left, I wanted to fight who was ever going to get me up there the quickest.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And we got offered other fights, and there was easier fights to have. There was like, we, yeah, there was easier fights, mate. We could have taken, we could have maybe had two or three easier fights or more comfortable fights. But
Yeah, yeah,
I just said, I'm ready to retire. So I'll
yeah.
fight whoever's going to get me there, and if I beat Huey Fury, I'll go on until I lose, and then I'll hang the gloves up.
And yeah, I mean, you were the underdog going into that fight, I think. Did you believe that you could beat him?
Oh, 100%. I'd never ever go into a fight without thinking I could beat the person I was fighting. Never.
Hmm.
But it
And
was. I trained hard for that fight. In my opinion, I was in good shape for that fight. I was fit for that fight. We done everything right in the gym. We had some
yeah,
very good sparring. We spar with Fabio Wardley quite a lot. And
yeah,
in my opinion, he's going to be a great fighter. Well, he is a great fighter, and
yeah.
he's going to and he's going to do even better. You know what I mean? I really rate him, and I think he's going to go and win world titles and stuff. So
Mm.
we had some top sparring for that. Um, and I was good, to be honest with you. But I slipped up. I got chinned. What are
You
you going to
slipped
do?
up and got chinned.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I mean, I was there for the fight. I heard the crack. It was, yeah, it sounded painful, and I bet it felt even more painful. You're doing really well, actually. I thought you were doing really, really well. I thought you were the aggressor, and you had him on the back foot um, for most of the time you were fighting, I think, and you made him you made him think.
Yeah,
You made him switch his processes. He had to think and switch processes.
yeah.
So, and again, another big guy, another really tall, rangy fighter, a bit younger than yourself as well. Seems like he's been around forever, but he's actually quite young, isn't he, in terms of his career?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think he must be maybe like early 30s now, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, the game plan for that fight was, in my head, I wanted to take him after 6 rounds.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'd make him work for 6 rounds, and I think maybe if I look back now, I probably tried to up the gear a little bit
Hmm.
too quick.
Hmm. 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 Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
should have tried to maybe should have left it a round or two more.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but it was the same game plan as when I fought David Price. I thought, I know he's a big puncher. I know he's a devastating puncher, and still is to this day the biggest punch I've ever been in with, and that includes Klitschko, any of the major heavyweights I've been in with. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
he was a big puncher, and I thought I'll take you after six, but we didn't get there either. you
Yeah,
know,
he's a bit. David Price was a big puncher. I remember when he cracked Povetkin and sent him flying
you
flying
know what?
halfway
You know
across the
what, Matt?
room.
Right when he hit me and I went down, in the 3 seconds I was down, mate, I had a dream.
Yeah.
I had a dream, mate. I was on my knees in my living room, and my little girl was running to me, and I was going to catch her.
Wow.
And I remember getting up, and after that, I must have had, well, I did have concussion because
Yeah.
I couldn't remember anything about the fight, nothing at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
1 minute I'm in the changing rooms, taking off my kit, it's like a light bulb was switched back on, and I've
Yeah.
gone, what am I doing taking off my kit? Don't even know where I was. And
Wow.
I looked round at Graham, and he was talking to the Walsh brothers at the time, and
Yeah.
I said,
Wow.
Graham, I said, just humour me a minute. I said, obviously, I've just boxed. I'm taking off my kit. I said, what the fuck happened? And he's like, I can't remember the lead up to the fight. I can't remember none of it. And it just, it's a weird feeling, mate. It just comes back to you bit by bit, like over the days, the next
Yeah.
days. And then,
Yeah.
so it could be 3 days later, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I can remember walking in the ring now. And oh, yeah, I can remember, like, it's weird, mate.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, the serious side of boxing, isn't it? Getting concussion.
Yeah,
It's you don't play boxing. Boxing is no game.
yeah,
So you had a great career considering, all things considered, and you won the two titles that you wanted to win, that you promised that you would win, and you had a lot of good stories and a lot of good fun, and made a lot of money along the way. It could be fair to say.
yeah.
I I mhm.
Yeah,
I
it's
ha
been good, mate. I've met some really good people. I would say some of the best people I ever met have been in the boxing world. There's always a
mm,
lot of there's always a lot of respect, and there's some very very nice people in the boxing world.
that's
And
right.
I've been around the world. Whether we sparring, boxing. I've had a good time, mate. But it's like I said when I retired. That's one chapter done, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's just
So
that's
So, in terms of like slaying that dragon, in terms of slaying that dragon, what does slaying the dragon mean to you in the context of your boxing career? Um, and how do you plan to keep on fighting for your dreams? Not boxing anymore, but what are your dreams moving forward, and how do you plan to fight for them?
my dreams moving forward now, mate. Is I'm very much a family man. I love my family.
Hmm.
I mean, I love my kids dearly, and I just want to make the best life for them.
Nice.
That don't matter, and to me, it don't matter what I do. You
Hmm.
know, I'll do whatever I need to do to try and make that happen. I'm retired, but I'm still in the gym. I'm still in the
Hmm.
gym a fair bit. I train others every day. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
I, I train other people, mainly boxing,
Yeah.
general stuff as well, fitness stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I mean, what's the meaning to life? I don't think there is
Yeah.
a meaning. It's just to just be happy while you're here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, be happy while you're here. So
Yeah,
family is super important to you, and that's
that's it.
your North Star now. That's what it
That's
sounds
it.
like. That's
Yeah,
right.
that's it.
Well, I'm going to end it there, and I just want to say, thank you for being a guest on my podcast, and it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you about your career, and just want to thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it.
No worries at all, mate. It's been good. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Look forward to the next time. Take care.
Cheers, buddy. See ya.